That was the one thing I remember my brother saying to me was, if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it. My boss can come to me tomorrow and be like, right, Denver, we're going to have to pay you off because, like I said, there's no work or stuff like that. And a lot of people, in other cases, would worry about that. I only trade from a fair value gap in the most recent range to...
Welcome, everyone. Today, we're continuing our series of interviews with traders. And today we have a special guest. Please introduce yourself. Just let everybody know, give a little bit of background, who you are, how you got into the trading business, and how long you've been trading, all these, just basic introduction.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Denver. I'm from Scotland. I'm a 24-year-old trader, and I've been trading for about 6 years.
Since 18. All right. Wow. That's so how'd you end up trading? That was that was prior to COVID. So you started trading prior to COVID.
Yeah, just prior to COVID, yeah. I got into trading just how everyone else normally gets into trading. You see everyone with the flashy cars, the watches and stuff like that, and that's how everyone goes down. You know what I mean? And first, like I said, you sign up to the likes of, your signal groups and stuff like that. That's how everyone starts. When I was actually first starting, you had nothing. You didn't know much about it. You were just taking what someone else would, put on a trade, you'd copy it and stuff like that. I put a lot of money in and I got a decent bit back, like I said, from signal groups. But, it doesn't last very long. Once you see money coming in, you want to get more and more. So
Right.
I must have put about close enough to £10,000 in to like these trading groups. And my biggest win was I'd actually put a trade on and I fell asleep, set an alarm for, I don't know why, I think it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and woke up the phone, picked my phone up, looked at it and seen, there's up like £3,000. And I was like, so I was with my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend at the time, woke her up and I was like, I know this £3,000, you know what I mean? She's like, closed it. I was happy. Next day, I tried doing it again, lost all the money, gone. Within a period of about a week, I was just losing, and then you over risk and you lose it all. But at that point there, where I seen that, obviously, I'd made that money, that's when I knew that trading could be potentially a very good source of income. And that's when I started, learning, going through loads of different courses and stuff like that. And it's taken me to where I am just now. So a long process, but ups and downs, but got there in the end, basically. So
that's ups and downs is how you get here, right? Any road to success is not paved in a straight line. It's curvy, it's full of cliffs, you die a couple of times and all that stuff inside, right?
Yeah.
So
that's how people see it, as it's just a nice long road up. That's how they see it. Whereas, like you said, it's up and down. It's like a cliff, you know what I mean? When you're going up rocks, you're going to go up 2 steps, you're going to come down 3, you go up 4. That's just how trading is. And as long as you stick to it, that's where the progress starts to come.
Did you start with crypto or did you start with?
No, I've always been Forex. Always
Okay.
did Forex. I did try dip myself into crypto a little bit, but because I've not really been learning that, I didn't want to take a big risk and put money in and stuff like that. So
no, we have a lot of young traders who actually started with during COVID with crypto, and then they kind of realized it's too volatile, and and then they lose a bunch of money real fast, even faster than in Forex, and they want to do something that is more stable and not just be at the whim of some crazy move out of nowhere for no reason, blah blah blah. Because it's a lot more manipulated market, I think. Crypto, because a bunch of exchanges just control the volume essentially. But what kind of trading do you do? Do you do short-term trading, scalping? You do time frames?
So my time frames, that's roughly about scalping within 1 to 2 hours. Is normally when I'll obviously get in and out of a trade. My focus is more on the 4-hour trend, finding out where the 4 hours going to go for the day. Just following, like I said, the trend wise, the most recent range. I trade the likes of market maker models, and my bias is purely on internal liquidity and external liquidities. So basically, I only trade from a fair value gap in the most recent range to like sort of a higher low. So I'll confirm like my bias on a 4-hour, confirm it on a 1 hour as well, and I'll drop down to a 3-minute to get a nice entry from there. So
all right. Well, I have a similar technique. I usually watch the daily 4-hour but I don't drop lower than 15 minute, but to each their own. But I guess the principle is the same. You kind of evaluate the our time frame and use a lower time frame for an entry.
Everything's fractal, like you said, you use a 15-minute. If I was to use a 15-minute, I guarantee you would have the same entry, the same stop loss, you know what I mean? And if someone was, say, they were trading the 1 hour instead of the 15-minute, they'd have the same entry, the same stop loss. It kind of works like that. It's always fractal.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So, I mean, you see, you can definitely say that you can definitely see you've been around the block because you understand all the, after 6 years.
Yeah, it's been a long road, and I'm just happy that it's, it's picked up and I'm finally getting somewhere with it. So, yeah.
How long did it take you to become break even, and then how long did it take you to start starting, making some strides?
So after all my learning and stuff like that, going through courses, there was times where it just clicked, where things were like I was watching it, backtesting, and it was working, and then I would pass accounts, and I would, like I said, I'd fail accounts, and then I'd try change something, it wouldn't work, and then obviously you'd take a couple of months off, you learn again, pick up new things, and then it would click again. And then, like I said before, then this was like maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, like I was passing accounts, and then I was failing accounts. And then I was passing them, and then I was getting payouts, and then failing after that. And like I said, it was just slowly progressing better and better until about a year ago, it just clicked. And I stopped trading. I completely focused on back testing for about a month, 2 months straight. And like I said, the results of the strategy which I had was unbelievable. Like I said, I started forward testing it afterwards, getting into the market, smaller positions, not full positions. And like I said, that was when I just started taking accounts, passing accounts, getting payouts. Obviously, you're one of the firms which I'm with, as you can see from the results, especially on one of the accounts I'm with. Like I said, I've got 200k funded accounts with you. One of the accounts is over £10,000, so which is not, which is
somebody's monthly salary who has a very good job, essentially. On just one account.
And on just one account, and I'm pretty sure the other account's sitting at 4,000 profit as well, or something like that. This is the thing. I'm doing that as well as working another job. So
that's the beauty of spending 5 years or 6 years, knocking on that door, but once it opens, and once it clicks, and sometimes a lot of younger, well, you're young too, but a lot even younger than you, they want this thing to work out within
a year.
Within a year, even faster, right? Within 6 months, 3 months, and it takes a lot to actually keep on working after years.
You need to go through the losses. That's the thing. It's the losses which make you improve. You know what I mean? Going back and saying, like, I've took a loss on this trade. How did I lose that trade? How can I be better for next time? You know what I mean? Is it a confluence which you missed out? Was it rushing into the market too fast? It's stuff like that. And like I say, when I relate back to when I said it clicks, every couple of months it was clicking. I was like, that's working. So I'll add that in, and then again, clicking something else, adding that in, and like I said, it's all just combined into one strategy, which is profitable and it's working now. So
it actually that's exactly how it happens. I think everybody goes through the period, the initial stage. Everybody loses money. You have to kind of pay your tuition fees. A lot of people just give up on that because they don't see results on month 3 or 6 or whatever. And when I say it takes about a year minimum just to get be okay, and that's again optimistic. I know one of the best traders of E-minis, meaning the futures markets, the S&P 500. He's a doctor, and it took him 10 years, and he's a doctor. So and he's now teaching, and he's one of the most prominent independent traders. But it took him 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And not a lot of people have thick skin to push themselves. I know you can have another job, this and that, but a lot of people would lose interest after a year or two, and their girlfriend or their parents are telling them, "What the fuck are you doing with your life?" Blah blah blah, this and that. So what pushed you through all those adversities and thoughts of maybe I should be doing something else completely and not do this at all, towards now where you are, you can have a different I take it you don't trade 18 hours a day. You don't need to, because now you can have your set period of time. Find the setups, you bang it out, and you do whatever you want to do with the rest of the day.
I work 39 hours a week as a bricklayer. That's my job. I can take 2 hours out of a day to trade. Like I say, that's all I need for trading. A lot of people could sit in the charts 18, 19 hours, you know what I mean? But I've now refined it down to, like I say, two hours maximum. One in London session, one in obviously New York session. But what really, like I said, there was times with me where I was like, is it worth it? you know, I mean, all the money I'm putting in, you know, I had the likes of my older brother. My older brother never believed in me when I used to sit at work. I used to sit at work. He used to be a site manager for where I was. He used to come and put a computer down. All the guys used to sit and laugh at me saying, "Oh, Ken, that'll never work. It'll never work. You'll never be able to be profitable. If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it."
Right.
That was the one thing I remember my brother saying to me was, if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it. But yeah, that was the push for me, really. Just, you know, no one believes in you in this stuff because they've not done it themselves. Me personally, I couldn't work a 9 to 5 the rest of my life. That's just, see, when you go online and you go to the likes of your Instagram and stuff like that, and you see people like flashing fast watches and nice cars, yachts, partying all the time. It's you know what I mean? It makes a person very depressed. And I remember all these times I used to finish work, and I used to just sit in my house and you just watch trading videos, people making money, this, that, driving all the fast cars and stuff. And I had to wake up the next again day and, you know, go be a bricklayer, put down bricks for a day, making £150 a day. That was all it was. But I really did say to myself, and this was a good 2-3 years ago, I said, if I didn't make it by 25, I said, I don't know what there would be for me in life.
Right.
And it was a really, really sad point because, I mean, I gave myself such a huge goal to get to obviously what I wanted to be in such a short time. But that was just, and it all pulled through, but that was due to the, you know, all the late nights, staying up till 1-2 o'clock in the morning, watching how this person trades this, how he made that money. I mean, some people don't have that in them. You know, I mean, they want to go to work, finish work, have their dinner, and go to sleep.
Yeah.
I can relate that back to the guys I used to work with at my obviously the job which I had with my brother. You know, he was a 60-year-old stonemason basically, and that's all he done. You know what I mean? He had like I said, he worked his
Which
nine
is
to
fine for some people, but if you have that bug in you, if you have that ambition, and
yeah.
like you said, you know, yeah.
If that's the life you want to live, you don't want to take any risk. You know what I mean? That's a pretty average life if you wanted to. I have nothing against that. But yeah, like I said, he was 60-year-old, working a 9 to 5, going home, having a shower, having his dinner, going to sleep, and doing the same thing. And he'd been doing that, like I said, maybe 40 odd years of his life. Like I said, there's nothing against it. But for me, I had to take a big risk. I wanted to take a big risk, and that's how I got into trade. And I got into trading for the wrong reasons. Like I said,
Look, listen, everybody gets into trading the same way. Everybody wants money. It's not, we're not saving lives here. You know what I mean?
But it's obviously, like, I was in it for the money, and then you realize, obviously, once you start getting the money, it's about freedom. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You don't need to worry about stuff. I'm at a point where I could potentially, you know, leave my job and do trading full time, but I'm in that good of a routine where I can do my job and do trading at the same time, and not have to worry. Like, my boss can come to me tomorrow and be like, right, Denver, we're going to have to pay you off because, like I said, there's no work or stuff like that. And a lot of people, in other cases, would worry about that. Oh, how am I going to pay bills, feed the family and stuff like that? If you, like I said, because I'm trading, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have an issue with that. I could go, I mean, take 2 weeks off if I wanted to, because I could still work on the laptop and trade at the same time. But yeah, that's just, you know what I mean? It depends who you are in life and what goals you want. Really, yeah.
Absolutely. And a lot, see, the thing is, a lot of everybody's on TikTok, everybody's on Instagram, everybody sees the flashy shit, everybody. But you know what you've described right now is a few things. You had the perseverance, you got to tenacity of keep knocking year after year. Honestly, you know, it's not easy. You have failure, you have to be going through failure after failure, but you keep watching because that fire within you telling you, I want to be somebody greater than just an average Joe Schmo, whatever, which is again to each their own. But you know, I didn't want to be an average Joe Schmo either, and this is what it takes. And you're only 24, for crying out loud.
24, I know.
You're already, yeah. So not to blow up your age or anything like that. But you know what I mean. And you're describing these things. The freedom is what this business to me is all about, honestly. And it's not about it. It's not even about getting a jet or you can buy yourself nice toys. But even if you don't have a jet, you can, you know, buy a nice car, buy a nice house. But nobody tells you what the fuck to do, when to do it, and you're self-reliant for the rest of your life. Pretty much. And I also suggest people to have a hybrid model, not to be, you know, straight up. You know, you're 20 years old and you just want to day trade because unless you're working for you know, literally, it's a lot easier if you have a separate source of income that covers like the basic needs, the
Yeah.
house, the food, the occasional whatever money spending on girls, guys, whatever, basic shit. This way, it covers your basic needs. The pressure of not paying rent from the trading money allows you to trade a lot better, because now you have the freedom. You can tell your boss to go fuck himself anytime, any day of the week. But you also have you don't have to worry, because that job kind of covers the basic expenses. When you trade, you can approach it with ease, kind of like on a demo mode. Not really, but it's still, that's a difference, right? Because on a demo, everybody's a goddamn superstar. All of a sudden, real money starts trading. Everybody's, the ass puckers up, and everybody starts making silly mistakes. And that's why before 2008 crash, all banks were allowed to have dealing desks and trading desks. And then the banks, but anyway, they always paid salaries to the traders, even though they were mostly on commission, but they gave them always base salaries. Why? Well, because if you don't have base salary, it's very hard, especially for retail traders. You have $2,000-3,000 you have to pay for rent, car, food, blah blah blah. And if you only have like 10 grand saved up, and you're trying to turn that 10 grand into 100K in 1 year, and then you have to also expand, it's really not realistic. So it's a lot easier to start with 100K, or a bunch of 100K accounts, and then make that 10%, and that's how you make the 10, 20, 30K a month. And that allows you the freedom to live. If you would, since you're young, like if you would have to shorten your journey and pass on some kind of advice to somebody who's starting out or just started out like 6 months ago, a year ago, how would you shorten the journey, or if that's even possible, or what kind of advice would you give?
Don't rush the process. Like I said, you could be in hundreds of groups, all these different groups, everyone learning how to trade, and you can look at someone, someone's made £5,000 today, and I've only made like say £200 today. You should never compare yourself to someone else. Your own journey is your own journey. That's the way how I see it. Whether it takes you 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, doesn't matter. As long as you're consistent, you're always showing up, and you're basically putting the work in. If I could have shortened, obviously, like I said, I'm 6 years, which is quite lengthy, because a lot of profitable traders are within 2 or 3 years. So for me, it was just trying to stay consistent. There was times where like I would just stop trading because I thought, it wasn't worth it for me anymore. But as long as you're constantly learning, you're backtesting, that's the biggest thing, the backtesting. I used to just watch videos and then just fall asleep, and then, there'd be 2-3 weeks down the line and I'd watch the same video again, because just to make sure. And it's getting like your strategy on point and stuff. That's the main thing. It's just keeping consistent, making sure you're getting the right information. You don't care about anyone else. It's only you. And what fuels that, like what I said before, is, all these people which are like, I'll never work, no one in the family's had this job before. I've known people which have made this amount and lost that amount. Don't get me wrong, you'll have nights where you'll be sitting alone, you'll be crying. I've had nights myself where I've cried, like, why is this really not working? And it's working for everyone else. But what you really need to do is just sit down with yourself and say to yourself, look, this is what I want to do for life. This is a job which I'm interested in. And I just need to, when the time's right, the time will be right. As long as I'm showing up all the time, every day, obviously learning every day, because every day is a learning day. You'll always learn something new.
To this day, after 20 years, it's absolutely right.
Yeah. My brother taught me that as well, even in work. He says every day is a new day, and you'll learn something new every day. And he's been a really big impact on my life. Like I said, I owe everything to him, basically. Everything he's taught me, keep myself to myself, never let everyone know your business, sort of thing. But yeah, that's the main thing, is when the time's right, the time's right.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, especially young, I was young too, right? So I know that impatience is part of the thing, right? You're absolutely right. I did this, everybody goes through the same journey. If, like I always say in this business, if this thing didn't break you a few times where it's like you're in tears, or I say crawling in bed and be, like in a fetal position, if it hasn't done that, that means you haven't went through the process yet. And but once, if you're able to sustain that pressure and keep going and going. Even if you take a break or whatever, but keep going. Eventually, the doors will have to open up, because you kind of just stack. You have failure. Just statistics alone will say at a certain point you'll have to hit the winning number, right?
Well, like you said, the more you do it, you open up doors, and it's similar to what I said before. Things just start to click here and there eventually, and every couple of months it clicks and clicks and clicks, and then you start getting the confidence, and you start applying it, and then it works, and then you're there, and you're laughing, and you're happy because you've just, like I said, you're up on the day, or you've just made profit, and you've just had your first payout. Like I remember my first payout, and I tell you what, I couldn't have been any happier. Like see when you had the money hit the account and you were like, this is actually the real, and then that's what I mean. That gives you the motivation to just keep going and going and going. But that's not where like you get the payout and you stop. You think, oh, I'm on top of the world now. Oh, this is me. This is my job. You have to keep learning. Always
Absolutely.
keep.
And the markets always evolve. So to me, every day, like obviously, I'm not rediscovering, a new continent every day for myself, but it's little additions, little steps. And you're absolutely right. You add something to your toolbox every day. And another thing that I've noticed interviewing a lot of successful younger traders is a lot of them say the same thing. It's backtesting, like journaling or putting everything together. Like if you don't want to do that type of work, you're never going to establish your setups. And a lot of people kind of neglect that. They think they're just gonna, come to the trading desk and just trade, and that's enough. But you actually have to do the back testing. You have to do the journaling, the keeping the track record, so you know what works and what doesn't work, and just do more of what works and less of, obviously, of what doesn't work.
That's like, you know what I mean, with the back test, and it's like you can have 4 different entry models, and like I said, you could see you had 4 opportunities in the one day, and those 4 different models played out, and the one wins and 3 loses. That's already back testing for you there, because that one which had won, you know what I mean, that could be more profitable over the other 3. See, you entered on like a change in the state delivery, a fair value gap, SMT, and just say something else, and say the change in the state of the delivery was the most profitable one. Like, take it back 10 trades, do the same entry model with the same system, 10 different trades back, see what one works the best. Like for me, mine's a change in the state of delivery. I mean, I used to use fair value gaps and stuff like that before, but see, now it's a strict change in the state of delivery. If that doesn't play out, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? And if I lose, I'm not going to change it and say, oh, that fair value gap worked instead. But no, my strategy works with us changing the state of delivery. That's
exactly right. On this note, I want to say, stop being lazy. Not you, I'm talking to the viewers. And backtest the journal. And Denver, was an absolute pleasure. I hope we do a follow-up after a few more payouts. And we're actually going to organize maybe a nice group, maybe session with a bunch of traders, and do like a live on YouTube where we can share some war stories or what we're looking at in the market. So I'm definitely I'm inviting you to be one of those people, and hopefully we'll do it soon. But it was an absolute pleasure finally meeting you, and it's very nice to see smiles on the face, because of all the work you had to do to get that victory taste. Now the taste of victory is sweet, because it's what it took to get there. And now that you're here, just you obviously compound on it, and you grow and you grow and you grow, and that's how you. And again, 24. Wow. All right. So
the thing is, behind this smile was a lot of sleepless nights and crying nights. That's how it was. But like I said, I got here eventually, and I'm glad I stuck to what I did. And that's like a lot of profitable traders. You know what I mean? You're not just going to have a nice straight path to the top, constant up and downs. That's how it works.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
That's life.
Yeah, that's life. And that's trading life.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother. We'll see you soon. And it was my pleasure. Check us out on fundingtraders.com, fundingfeatures.com, and our YouTube channel for more info. Cheers.